The Empire State Building has always stood as a monument to ambition, steel stabbing sky, concrete daring to defy heaven. On this night, however, it is not ambition that crowns the spire, but doom. The city below hums with the eternal noise of New York. Honking cabs, subway brakes screaming, lovers arguing in the night. But above it all, nearly 100 stories high, the world feels quieter. The wind knifes across the observation deck, whipping coats and scarves, tugging hair into eyes. Families lean against the railing, taking photographs with the jeweled sprawl of Manhattan glowing beneath them. The Hudson glimmers black, Times Square pulses in neon. Bridges glow like veins. In the distance and overhead, hanging swollen and malignant, is the moon, not the pale pearl of a typical night. Tonight it bleeds. The lunar disk is rust-red, a smoldering ember in the void, casting its light not as comfort, but as curse. Its beams wash the white stone of the Empire State in crimson hues, as though the building itself bleeds. Among the crowd is a man who has been waiting for this moment. At first, he thought he could resist it. He'd climbed these stairs in the way. Vain hope that distance from the ground might distance him from the pull. But the higher he climbed, the stronger the hunger burned inside his chest. Now on the deck, pressed close to strangers who laugh and point at the skyline, he can feel his body betraying him. It begins as a tightening, like a seizure buried beneath his ribs. He grips the railing, his knuckles blanch, breath rasps, then snarls. His girlfriend grabs his arm, asking if he's all right, but her words melt into static. The only voice he hears is the moon. Something inside him breaks. His spine arches, vertebrae cracking one by one. His jaw contorts, teeth elongating until gums split and blood runs from his lips. The sound is grotesque, cartilage snapping, sinew twisting. Tourists back away, phones raised. Assuming at first it's a medical emergency, then realizing too late that it's something else entirely. He drops to his knees, claws bursting from fingers, shredding the steel grating beneath. His chest heaves, shirt tearing apart as muscle, swells, fur erupting through skin. The transformation is violent, wet and loud, bones grinding like machinery, ligaments stretching until they pop. A child screams, someone vomits, and then from his torn throat a howl erupts. It is not the cry of man or beast, but something older, something the city has never heard. Windows tremble, pigeons scatter from ledges in terrified flocks. The moon itself seems to pulse in response. The observation deck descends into pandemonium. Tourists scramble for the stairwell, others slam into locked doors, pressing buttons on elevators that no longer hum. The beast, newly born under bloodlight, turns its head toward them. Eyes like molten coals burn with hunger. Its lips peel back in a jagged grin of teeth, too long for any human mouth. One man tries to shield his family with a selfie stick, holding it like a lance. The wolf lunges, jaws closing on his shoulder, snapping collarbone and spine in a single bite. His scream is cut short as blood sprays across the deck, painting tourists in crimson. Panic spreads like wildfire. People trip, stampede, crush each other in their desperation to flee. The beast doesn't rush. It stalks, savoring their fear, every footstep echoing in its elongated ears. The night wind carries the scent of sweat and terror, a perfume more intoxicating than any drug. Below, the city remains oblivious. Cars stream, couples kiss, musicians strum guitars in subway tunnels. New York, eternal in its bustle, doesn't yet know that one of its proudest towers has become a slaughterhouse. High above, under the red moon, the first scream tears through the night, joined by a second and a third. The wolf raises its head, howling again, a declaration of dominance that rattles through the steel bones of the skyscraper, and in that instant, the Empire State Building is no longer a symbol of human triumph. It has become a cage, and something monstrous is working its way down. The stairwell breathes like a throat, Hot air, the stench of sweat and fear, the pulse of feet slamming metal treads in frantic arrhythmic waves, alarms stutter, die, return as if the building itself can't decide whether to scream. A man in a Yankees cap clutches his daughter to his chest and stumbles, nearly pitched over the rail by the crush of bodies. Someone yanks him upright without looking back. "Keep going," a woman shouts. No one listens. Listening is a luxury for the living. Somewhere above them, the door to the observation deck sighs open again with a wet whine of hinges, and the stairwell goes silent for a single heartbeat, as if sound itself is hiding. Then the claws hit steel, the shriek of talon on tread splits the air. The first to look up sees eyes like dim furnace coals and a muzzle rimmed in red, and he forgets how to breathe. The wolf drops to the landing in a ripple of muscle. Head low, shoulders high, tail like a black pennant of war. It inhales once, choosing, and moves. The crowd detonates downward, bodies pinwheel through the turn of the stairs. A tourist shoves his camera into his coat and loses the coat anyway. A girl reaches for her friend and catches only sleeve, fabric tearing like paper. Over the rail, a phone falls end over end into the shaft. Its screen a comet of white until it shatters on some faraway landing. The sound is tiny, intimate. The wolf cocks its head at the chime and smiles. On the 86th floor corridor, the doors are locked and the glass is not. People throw their weight into windows. Tempered panes flower with cracks hold, and then blossom outwards in glittering storms. The night rushes in with knives of wind. One man climbs onto the sill, toes searching for nothing, because nothing is preferable to the thing. Emerging from the stairwell, he does not jump. The panic behind him pushes, and the city takes him with the gentleness of gravity. An elevator dings. A miracle. 12 people pour into the brass-lined box, fingers pinwheeling over buttons. "Lobby! Lobby, lobby, lobby!" Someone gasps. The doors kiss shut. The box lurches down 2 floors and stops. A groan runs through cable and pulley, a whale song from a dark ocean. The youngest passenger, hair in glittering barrettes, hands sticky with spilled soda, whispers, "Please." The ceiling buckles. A fist the size of a wolf's heart slams through the paneling and drags a screaming shape up into the shaft. The others press themselves flat as papermen. The car trembles, descends, then free falls in a silent gulp that lasts 3 lifetimes. At the 70th, the counterweights bounce and the box arrests just enough to turn bone into powder. Instead of mist, the city never hears them land over the sirens on 80. A pair of security guards sprint from the monitoring room, belts clacking, radios spitting static. Their boots slap marble with the confidence of men who believe in procedure. Code black. One barks into his mic, voice pitched tight. They shoulder into the stairwell and see the thing in the red-lit throat of the building, and their training evaporates like a puddle on hot metal. One raises his sidearm, 3 shots, a crescendo of light. The wolf turns with the offended grace of a king. The rounds mushrooming under hide, it answers with speed, a pale blur that resolves into teeth, and the guard folds backwards over the rail, spine a snapped violin bow, falling and falling while the other empties his pistol into history. He reloads, by habit, and the habit is all that keeps him from screaming. The wolf leaves him alive long enough to watch it descend, mercy as cruelty. He cannot swallow. On 74, office lights flicker and printers spit error pages like confetti. Desks huddle. In rows, little fortresses of coffee cups and family photos. The survivors slam the glass conference door, wedge it with a chair, and hide beneath the table where deals were inked in saner hours. The moon's rust hue slides through the blinds in Venetian stripes. "It's a gas main," a man insists. Voice cracking. "It has to be." The woman beside him holds a letter opener in both hands, blade trembling as though it can smell her fear, and rattles to drink. The door flexes once, twice, hinges beginning to confess. A claw kisses the gap at the bottom and rakes slow, patient furrows through carpet squares. The beast is not here for hunger only. It is here for theater. They learn that truth the way all mortals learn anything. Too late. On 70, the elevator shaft exhales smoke like a cigarette. The wolf steps through the steam and drips, each bead of blood a tiny metronome against the floor. The scream that follows is short, efficient, almost professional. The wolf seems to appreciate that news cameras arrive outside, lenses craning upward, voices high and breathless. Unconfirmed reports. Someone says multiple casualties. The building's floodlights switch from ivory to emergency red, so that from the street it appears to be bleeding in ropes down its ribs. Helicopters carve circles into the sky. The rotors thrum, a second heartbeat laid over the cities. Police vans belch officers who run like they have practiced this moment and will discover they have not. Back inside, the wolf rides the tide of terror down. Sometimes it leaps a full switchback, landing with a boom that shakes dust loose from old plaster. Sometimes it pads, almost idle, as though the descent itself is the feast. It is learning its body, testing the tremor of sinew, the calculus of balance, the arithmetic of murder in confined spaces. It is a mathematician doing proofs in blood. At the 62nd, a maintenance worker in oil-streaked coveralls blocks the landing with a yellow caution stand. Wet floor, he wields a mop like a halberd. Behind him, two janitors in green gloves whisper prayers in Spanish. The wolf slows, a theater-goer amused by the stagecraft, and then moves through the sign and the man, the way night moves through an open window. The mop ferrules skip across tile. The caution placard keeps its promise. Somewhere far below, sirens gather like wolves of another kind. The radios on dead belts crackle. Hold the lobby. SWAT en route. Do not let it out. The building hears the command and laughs with its bones. The moon pours deeper into the stairwell like dye into water. The city's arteries throb. On every landing the wolf pauses, tasting the air, sorting the bouquet. Salt of tears, copper of blood, the high carbon tang of panic, perfume and printer toner, popcorn and cheap beer, and the musk of boxed up Christmas. Decorations someone never took home. It knows with the certainty of a tide that the ground is coming. The ground is where the hunt finishes, where the city's maze begins. But there are still so many floors left to teach the lesson. It places one palm, hand no longer human, paw not entirely animal, on the next bar of the rail and leans its weight forward, a king descending a staircase to his throne. The crowd below moves faster. The sound is rain on 1,000 roofs, and the red moon watches like a god who has made a mistake and refuses to admit it. The 50th floor blooms with joy that has no idea it is about to die. A wedding reception, white linens draped like clouds, champagne flutes stacked into a crystalline tower, a string quartet coaxing delicate beauty into the air. A bride in ivory lace lifts her glass to toast, her smile trembling with that particular mix of love and terror that marriage itself inspires. Guests clap, laugh, raise their drinks. For a moment the world is kind, and then the stairwell door slams open. The wolf steps through the frame like a shadow grown solid, its fur lacquered with sweat and blood, its muzzle ringed in crimson foam. The quartet falters mid-note, bows screeching against strings. Every head turns, every smile collapses, every dream of cake and dance and honeymoon is ripped apart by the red glow in those eyes. The groom shouts, his voice cracking, "Get out!" He seizes a champagne bottle from the table, smashes it against the corner, jagged glass trembling in his hand. For a second, just a second, he believes he is brave. He lunges, the wolf moves faster. It swats him like a child's toy, slamming him across the buffet. Platters of roast and salad scatter in a rain of garnish. The groom lands on the table's edge, his spine folding in ways spines are not meant to fold. He tries to stand. He cannot. His new wife screams his name until her throat shreds raw. The guests scatter, chairs tip and splinter. High heels snap on polished floors. The champagne tower collapses, sending glass shrapnel across the room in a crystal storm. Someone tumbles into the wedding cake, the 3 tiers collapsing into frosted ruin. The flower girl crawls beneath the fallen layers, sticky sugar clinging to her hair, muffling her sobs. The wolf inhales. The scent is intoxicating. Fear cut with vanilla frosting, blood stirred with wine. It roars, windows tremble, chandeliers sway. The lights flicker as though the grid itself shudders at the carnage blooming within its walls. It pounces into the throng. A bridesmaid slashes at it with a butter knife. The knife glances from hide like a raindrop off iron. The wolf catches her by the arm, lifts her like a rag doll, and whirls her body into a marble pillar. The impact is thunder. The crack in the stone resembles a lightning strike. A photographer crouches behind his camera, lens trembling, reflex still stronger than terror. The flash pops, freezing the wolf mid-snarl in a still frame that will never be developed. The beast snarls at the light, lunges, and drags him into shadow. The camera clatters to the floor, snapping one last image of nothing but ceiling tiles. Some of the guests make it into the hall, sprinting for the elevators, their shoes drumming a frantic rhythm. But the wolf's howl follows them, filling the entire floor, reverberating down. The stairwell, rattling glasses in cabinets. It is not merely sound. It is command. It stops hearts in mid-beat. The bride staggers backward, her veil trailing like torn silk in the wind of panic. She reaches her husband, his chest twitching, eyes rolling white. "Stay with me," she begs. Her hands press his ribs, where bone juts through skin. "Please." The wolf circles behind her, low and slow, savoring. She looks up, her mascara-blurred eyes locking with fire-red pupils, and she understands. Her marriage has already ended in blood. The chandelier crashes. The wolf leaps onto the wreckage, glass and gold scattering under its paws, a grotesque parody of a bridal procession. It howls once more, a vow of death that echoes through the walls of the skyscraper. Far below, the NYPD radios crackle with updates they cannot comprehend. 70 floors breached, multiple casualties, unknown. Hostile, moving downward, repeat, downward, static, screams, then silence. The building shakes again. Not from wind or thunder, but from the thing that walks its halls. A monument meant to honor human ambition has become a cathedral of horror, each floor another sermon in blood. The wolf licks champagne from its claws, stares at the shattered wedding party, and moves toward the next stairwell door. Its descent continues. The 30th floor smells of smoke and cordite before the wolf even arrives. Sirens blare outside, echoing through the canyons of Manhattan, bouncing against skyscraper glass. The Empire State Building itself glows red with warning lights, a beacon screaming to the world. Something inside is wrong. Down at the street level, the NYPD has locked down whole blocks. Barricades dragged into place, officers shouting through bullhorns, helicopters hover, their spotlights slicing through darkness. To anyone watching from a rooftop bar or an apartment window, the tower looks possessed. But inside is worse. The stairwell doors burst open and SWAT floods in, black armor, visors gleaming, rifles raised. Tactical lights cutting cones into the dark. Their boots slam in drilled rhythm, the cadence of confidence. They have trained for shooters, for bombs, for terrorists. Not for this. They don't know it yet, but they will. Contact in 2 minutes. Their leader whispers into comms. The air is hot with tension and sweat. They sweep corridors, barrels rising and dipping, red lasers skimming the walls. Survivors cling in corners, sobbing, reaching, but the SWAT pushes them back. Move, move. Stay down, because their target is still ahead, and then it arrives. The wolf does not creep. It descends. Its claws drag across concrete, a rasp that stabs straight into bone marrow. Every light flickers when it enters the hall, as though electricity itself shivers. Its eyes glow in the beams of their rifles. Twin embers, alive fire. The world detonates, muzzle flashes strobe the hall, white and black and white and black. Brass shells rain against tile, clinking like wind chimes in hell. Bullets slam into fur, muscle, rib. The wolf staggers once, snarling, but it does not fall. It charges. The first man in line vanishes under its weight, his screams cut short as teeth punch through Kevlar. The second tries to swing his rifle like a bat. The wolf rakes across his face, visor shattering, skull splitting. The squad breaks, their formation dissolving into chaos, each man screaming orders no one follows. Flashbangs roll across the floor, sparking light and thunder. The wolf howls, an unholy sound, half fury, half delight, and the shock only fuels it. It tears through smoke, through walls, through men who thought their armor would save them. The radios erupt in panic. Team down. Team down. It's not human. The channel collapses into static. The survivors scatter into side offices. They slam doors, shove desks against frames, crouch behind file cabinets. But drywall is not defense. The wolf slams through plaster as if it were paper, pulling one man screaming into the dark, while the others listen helpless as his bones snap like kindling. In one conference room, a cluster of civilians huddle under the long table. A priest among them whispers prayers, his rosary. Rattling, the door rattles with each impact as the wolf circles. One woman clutches her child's mouth shut to keep the sobs inside. Then the wall buckles inward, claws bursting through sheetrock, and the prayers end. The stairwell floods with blood. The wolf, dripping gore, descends again, its claws clicking against steel like a metronome of doom. Every step echoes. Every floor grows quieter. Survivors stop screaming, not because they are safe, but because they know sound brings death. Silence becomes their only shield. Outside, command vans glow with screens. Officers shout over each other. Maps scrolling with floor-by-floor schematics. We've lost contact with Delta Team. Seal the lobby. Containment. Containment. But containment is a word made for men, not monsters. On the 40th floor, the wolf pauses at a wide window. It presses a bloodied palm against glass, leaving a handprint smeared red. Below, the streets crawl with flashing lights, barricades, uniforms. The beast tilts its head as though amused at their futility. A helicopter passes, its spotlight blinding for an instant. But when the beam moves on, the wolf is gone. Back into the stairwell, back into the hunt. The Empire State Building moans with the weight of it, with the terror locked inside. The skyscraper is no longer a monument. It is a tomb, sealing its victims layer by layer in silence and blood, and the wolf is still coming down. The marble lobby of the Empire State Building was meant to impress. Art Deco arches, gilded murals, polished stone floors that shone like still water under soft lamps. On any other night, it whispered of the city's pride, its wealth, its reach. But tonight, the lamps are shattered. The murals cast in crimson flashes of police strobes from the street. The lobby feels less like a temple of commerce and more like a killing floor awaiting its butcher. The survivors stagger through revolving doors, faces smeared with blood and glass dust, coughing on tear gas that leaks back from the streets. Police shove them behind barricades, medics dragging children into vans. But their screams don't fade. They thicken the air. The officers raise their rifles toward the stairwell, and the whole building holds its breath. The wolf arrives with a sound like thunder rolling down the spine of the tower. Each step clanks on steel, then booms on stone, louder, closer, until the stairwell door bursts open. It emerges, steaming, drenched in red, its chest heaving with the music of slaughter. Its claws trail blood across the polished floor. 5 lines gouged deep into marble that has stood since the Depression. Open fire. Gunfire explodes, rifles chatter in automatic fury, pistols crack, shotguns thunder. The air fills with smoke, brass shells skittering across marble, flashes strobing the wolf in freeze frames of gore and motion. Bullets chew the floor, hammer. Its chest punch through fur and flesh, but the beast doesn't fall. It hunches low, snarls deep and charges. The barricade shatters under its weight. Officers are thrown like rag dolls. One is pinned beneath a desk, screaming as claws rip through Kevlar, tearing him in half before his squadmates' eyes. Another is seized by the throat, lifted from the ground and hurled into a column. The column cracks, dust raining from the ceiling. The wolf turns toward the revolving doors. Police outside hammer them shut, locking the building, trying to trap the beast inside, but the wolf only laughs in its animal way. With one swipe, it tears the glass apart, shards raining down like glitter. The streetlights pour in, and for the first time, New York sees the thing. Helicopters swing their spotlights. The street erupts in chaos. Civilians scatter, barricades buckle as people trample each other in the stampede. SWAT vans unload new waves of men who crouch and fire in coordinated bursts. The wolf roars, deafening, a sound that rattles loose window panes a block away. One officer, desperate, lights a rag stuffed into a liquor bottle. Fire stolen from a gas station down the street. He hurls it, and the Molotov smashes across the wolf's back. Flames roar up, licking fur, igniting grease and blood. For a heartbeat, the thing burns, lit like a demon in hellfire. The officers cheer, unloading into the blaze, but the wolf does not die. It thrashes, howls, and bursts through the flame. Its eyes brighter, its fury doubled. It crashes into a squad car, ripping the hood away as if peeling an orange, slamming the twisted metal into the crowd. Gasoline sprays, ignites, and the barricade becomes an inferno. Officers scream as fire eats through uniforms. The wolf dives into the chaos, scattering men, rolling cars, pulling one helicopter's spotlight into its own eyes like a challenge. The chopper veers back, pilot screaming curses into his mic. Down. In the subway entrance, survivors flee into tunnels. Their shoes slap stairs, echoing in the dark. A child trips. A mother drags her by the arm, leaving a shoe behind. The wolf smells it, catches the trail, and turns toward the stairwell, yawning into underground black. The police regroup in the lobby, wounded dragged back, medics working under gunfire. Radios hiss with panic. It's headed underground. Seal the subway. Contain it, goddammit. But it's too late. The wolf plunges into the tunnels, the red moon's light fading behind it. The last thing the officers hear is its howl, reverberating through the stone like the voice of something that owns the dark. And then the lobby, broken, burning, drenched in blood, lies still. The beast has escaped the tower. The subway is a second city below the city, a labyrinth of dripping pipes, tiled tunnels, and echoing rails. Down here, the world is always midnight. Rats dart between trash piles, and the air stinks of rust, oil, and something older. Tonight, another scent joins them: blood, smoke, and fur. The wolf lands heavy on the stairs, claws screeching against concrete, sparks trailing. The tunnels swallow its howl and vomit it back tenfold. The sound rolling in waves through every corridor, rattling loose ceiling dust. Those fleeing civilians, mothers clutching children, tourists still gripping cameras, freeze, as if the tunnels themselves ordered silence. Then the panic surges again, faster, more desperate. A train screeches into the station, brakes howling like an animal sensing doom. Its headlights spear through darkness, catching the beast mid-prowl. The conductor sees it, slams the emergency brake, mouth open in a scream lost to the thunder of metal. The train lurches, sparks vomiting from the rails. Passengers inside slam against poles and glass, spilling coffee, teeth cracking against windows. The wolf does not move aside. It leaps. Its body slams into the windshield with enough force to crater the glass. The conductor shrieks as claws rip through safety laminate. The beast drags itself inside, scattering shards like snow. The control cabin is a slaughterhouse in seconds, dials snapping, levers sparking, the man's body a ragdoll against his own switches. The train rolls on, uncontrolled, into the tunnel beyond, headlights bobbing like the eyes of a dying god. Passengers further back hear it before they see it. The cabin door slams open, light spilling across terrified faces. The Wolf drags itself through, shoulders hunched, blood dripping onto sticky floors. Someone screams and the car erupts. Men hammer at windows, women pound on locked doors, children climb under seats as if the shadows will save them. The wolf moves slowly now. It knows it owns them. Each step echoes claws ticking against linoleum. It bends, drags a man from his hiding place beneath a bench, teeth punching through his chest with a wet pop. The car fills with the sound of breaking bones, chewing, sobbing. The emergency lights flicker crimson. In that stuttering glow, the passengers see flashes. Its muzzle snapping sideways, blood spraying across adverts for Broadway shows. Its eyes glinting in cracked windows, distorted into monstrous masks. Its claws punching into the ceiling, showering sparks. A brave fool swings a fire extinguisher, bashing it against the beast's skull. The wolf reels, dazed for a breath, and man screams for the others to run. Doors slam open at the next platform, and a tide of passengers spill into the dark. Their savior is crushed a heartbeat later, extinguisher clanging hollow against tiles, his scream cut short. The platform becomes chaos incarnate. Dozens sprint toward exits, shoes slapping, voices colliding. The wolf bursts out behind them, jaws wide, catching stragglers. A woman loses her purse, content scattering across tracks, lipstick, phone, a wedding band. Before her body follows, police flood entrances above, firing blindly downstairs. Muzzle flashes illuminate stairwells, smoke curling upward. Bullets ricochet off tiles, sparks showering commuters who trip and fall in heaps. The wolf charges through the gunfire, ripping one officer from the line, dragging him back down into the tunnels like prey claimed by the dark. Down the rail corridor, a second train barrels toward the station. Its horn wails, deafening. Survivors scatter. Some leap onto opposite platforms, others dive into service tunnels. The wolf turns, snarls, and sprints straight into the light. For a terrible instant, it seems the machine might crush it. But the beast launches, soaring above the roaring engine, landing on its roof with claws biting steel. Sparks rain from its weight. Inside, passengers look up, hearing the thrum of claws above their heads, their screams muffled by rushing wind. The train plunges into darkness, with the wolf riding atop it, a king astride his iron steed. Behind, the station lies ruined. Blood, bodies, scattered belongings, walls scarred with claw marks. Radios above ground scream updates no one believes. It's in the subway system. Repeat, it's underground. Multiple trains compromised. We can't track it. And through the dark tunnels of New York, the howl echoes. Every platform, every corridor, every sleeping rat hears it. The city above may not yet see, but it feels. The beast has found its hunting grounds, and the red moon still burns above, feeding it. Dawn scrapes its pale fingers across the skyline, clawing at the last of the night. The red moon, swollen and merciless, sinks low, its curse bleeding into the horizon like an open wound. Above Manhattan, helicopters still circle, searchlights, probing the broken tower. The Empire State Building, once a monument of pride, now wears scars of shattered glass, fire-blackened stone, and a silence more damning than any headline. But the monster is no longer there. In the sewers beneath the streets, the tunnels are quiet. The rats have fled. Pools of blood ripple in the aftershock of passing trains. The echoes of screams cling to the dripping walls like mildew, and from a rusted grate, half hidden in shadow, a figure emerges. He stumbles into a back alley, naked but for the gore that paints his skin. His breath rasps, his body trembling, muscles twitching as they shrink back into human shape. The claws retract, leaving fingers raw and ragged. Bones grind, shorten, snap back into place with wet crunches. His mouth drips blood as teeth dull to human enamel. His chest heaves, and he coughs out clots that splatter across the alley floor. For a moment, he is on all fours, panting, steam rising from his body. In the cold dawn air, He looks less like a man than a newborn thing, birthed by violence, reborn in ruin. He reaches for a discarded coat on a trash heap, filthy, torn, but enough to hide his shame. He pulls it around himself, ties it tight, and staggers forward. Behind him, the city howls, sirens still wail, barricades still choke the streets. Officers scream into radios, commanding containment. But containment is impossible. They search the tower, they search the subways, they search everywhere except where he now walks, the open streets hidden in plain sight. He moves through the waking crowd. Workers sip coffee from paper cups. Street vendors unpack carts. Tourists point to skyscrapers. Snapping photos of the police chaos from blocks away, the man limps past them, a ghost no one sees, the blood washed away by the city's indifference. In New York, no one looks twice. He catches his reflection in a deli window. For a moment he almost doesn't recognize it, a man's face drawn pale, smeared with shadows of exhaustion. But behind the eyes, something glows, not fully gone, not fully human. Red still smolders in his gaze, faint as embers beneath ash. His lips twitch, almost a smile, almost a snarl. Inside the deli, a woman wipes the counter, humming to herself, oblivious. Behind him, a bus roars by, drowning the sirens for just an instant. The city swallows him, the way it swallows everyone, whole and uncaring. The red moon sinks beneath the horizon. But its hunger lingers. It has chosen him, and it will rise again. Back at the tower, smoke billows from shattered windows. Firefighters spray water into charred offices, dragging out the broken. Reporters crowd barricades, shouting questions at officials who have no answers. What happened inside? How many dead? What was it? None of them will speak the truth. Not yet. Because the truth is walking among them, the man vanishes into the crowd, his footsteps lost in the endless rhythm of New York. He pulls the stolen coat tighter, hides his trembling hands, and disappears down a side street. No one follows. No one dares. The skyscraper had been a slaughterhouse, the subway a grave. The city itself is next. And when the red moon rises again, New York will remember the howl has not ended. It has only begun, and for those who hunger for more, step deeper into the shadows with our ultimate werewolf horror playlist, linked in the description below. In the world of horror, the scariest things happen when you least expect them. And trust me, you don't. Want to be left in the dark? Welcome to the darkness.